Good morning, third grade. Our targets for today are: I can identify equal-sized group division, area division, array division, and repeated subtraction division story problems. And I can solve equal-sized group, area division, array division, and repeated subtraction division story problems using pictures, graphs, and equations. So third grade, let's get started. Let's review what we know. We know that equal-sized group division problems are problems where physical items are organized into equal-sized groups. The total amount is known, which is how it's different from equal-sized group multiplication. We represent equal-sized group problems by drawing the groups and putting the physical items in the groups. We solve an equal-sized group division problem by writing a division equation. We take the total amount, we divide it by the factor we know, and it tells us the missing information. Sometimes we'll use a multiplication equation to help us think about the division equation. Key words that we see in equal-sized group division problems are words like in each or per group, some kind of container or group like a bowl, some kind of physical item like candy, and oftentimes we'll see the word total or equal or the same. Now let's think about area division. Area division story problems are problems where you're finding either the length or the width of a rectangular object. The total square units, or area, are known, which is how an area division problem is different from an area multiplication problem. To represent an area division problem, we draw the rectangular item, and we show the known total area in square units, as well as both the known and unknown side lengths. We'll know either how long or wide it is, and we'll be trying to find either how long or wide it is. To solve an area division problem, of course, we write a division equation, dividing the total area by either the length or width, whichever we know, to find the other unknown information, either the length or the width. Sometimes we'll use a multiplication equation to help us think about the division equation. Key words in an area division story problem are words, of course, like area, but also some kind of length, like inch or foot, and also the words wide and long. Square unit is a big clue that a problem's an area problem as well. Array division story problems are story problems where physical items are arranged into rows and columns. The total amount is known. That's how array division is different from array multiplication. If you know the total number of physical items in an array problem where items are arranged into rows, it's an array division problem. We represent an array division problem by drawing an array with physical items represented by dots or X's lined up in rows. To solve an array division problem, of course, we write a division equation, taking the total number of items and dividing it by the known information, either how many items are in each row or how many rows there are, to find the unknown information. The key words that help us know a problem is an array division story problem are words like per row or in each row, some kind of physical item, of course, that's being put into the row. Sometimes we'll see the word arranged or organized to show that the items are being put into rows. And the final story problem, division story problem we've learned about is repeated subtraction division. Repeated subtraction division is a story problem where an action repeats itself again and again and again over time, causing the same amount to be subtracted. In a repeated subtraction division problem, the total is known, which is how repeated subtraction is different from repeated addition. We represent a repeated subtraction problem using a number line, and we solve repeated subtraction problems using, of course, a division equation. We take the total known amount and we divide it by the known factor, either the number of times the action is repeated or the value of the action, to find the other unknown piece of information. Sometimes, like with all the other division story problems, we'll use a multiplication equation to help us think about the division equation. The key words that help us know a story problem is a repeated subtraction division story problem is some kind of action, like made or buy or run, and some kind of time, and it could be days, it could be weeks, it could be the actual word times, time something is happening, and sometimes we'll see things like in all and total as well. So third grade, we're going to go ahead, let me move this. We're going to go ahead and look at some division story problems. And we're going to look at a description of some division story problems, sorry. And you're going to decide based on what it says is happening, if it's an area division, an array division, an equal sized group division, it says ESG on the screen, or a repeated subtraction division, again it says RS on the screen. So which kind of problem is it third grade where physical items are organized into equal sized groups and the total amount is known? What kind of story problem is that? I agree. That would be an equal-sized group problem. Of course, if items are being put into equal-sized groups, of course, it's an equal-sized group division problem, if you know the total amount. What kind of story problem? What kind of story problem would this be? An action repeats itself again and again and causes the same amount to be subtracted, often over time. The total is known. Is that an area division, an array division, an equal-sized group division, or a repeated subtraction division problem? I agree. If an action is repeating again and again, causing something to be subtracted, it is a repeated subtraction story problem. What kind of story problem is this? You're finding either the length or the width of a rectangular object. The total square units or total area are known. This one's pretty easy, isn't it, third grade? What kind of story problem is this? Clearly, this would be an area division story problem. If you know the total area of a rectangular object and you're finding either the length or the width, of course, that's an area division story problem. And what kind of story problem would this be? Physical items are arranged into rows and columns. The total amount is known. I agree. If you have physical items being put into rows and you know the total, it's clearly array division. So now third grade, we're going to take a look at some story problems. We're going to read the problem, we're going to determine the problem type, we're going to write a division equation to solve the problem, and we're going to actually find the answer. So let's take a look at this first problem. The bakery has 48 rainbow cupcakes. If they organize the cupcakes into rows of 8, how many rows of rainbow cupcakes are there? Pardon my hiccups. Well, let's see here. Let me grab my pen. One piece of information I see is that there are 48 rainbow cupcakes. I also see that they're organized into rows of 8, with the question asking how many rows of cupcakes are there. If we have cupcakes in rows and we know the total amount, what kind of story problem is this? I agree, this is clearly an array division story problem. I want you to think, what equation would we use to solve this? You know that we take the total amount and we divide it by the known factor to find the unknown factor. So, what equation would we write to solve this problem? I agree. We would write the equation 48, the total, divided by 8 cupcakes in each row, which would equal n, the total number of rows of rainbow cupcakes. Now, I want you to think, what is 48 divided by 8? If you need to grab a piece of scratch paper, go ahead. What does n equal in this problem? I agree, n equals 6, so there are 6 rows of rainbow cupcakes. Take a look at this next problem. The new bookshelf in the library is 7 feet tall and covers 28 square feet of the library wall. How wide is the new bookshelf? Well, let's go ahead and start by finding the information in the problem. We know that the new bookshelf is 7 feet tall, and we also know that it covers 28 square feet of the library. And we're trying to figure out how wide the new bookshelf is. What kind of story problem is this? This one's pretty obvious, isn't it? If we're talking about an object covering square feet, it's obviously an area division story problem. What equation would we write to solve this problem? Think carefully about which number's the dividend and which number's the divisor. I agree. The equation we would use to solve this problem would be 28, the total number of square feet, divided by 7, how tall it is, would tell us n, how wide the bookshelf is. What is 28 divided by 7? What does n equal in this problem? I agree. In this problem, n equals 4, because 4 times 7 equals 28. So 28 divided by 7 equals 4. The bookshelf is 4 feet wide. Take a look at this next problem. Trenton loves astronomy so much. He has 21 astronomy books he wants to read. If he reads 3 books each week, how long will it take him to read all of his astronomy books? Let's go ahead and find the information in this problem. We know Trenton has 21 astronomy books he wants to read. Wow, he really loves astronomy. And we also know he's going to read 3 books each week. we're trying to figure out how long it's going to take Trenton to read all of those astronomy books. So, what kind of problem is this? I agree. Since Trenton is repeating an action, reading 3 books each week, and we know he wants to read a total of 21 books, this is clearly a repeated subtraction problem. Now think very carefully. What division equation would we write to solve this problem? I agree. We would divide the total number of books Trenton wants to read, 21, by how many he reads each week, 3, to tell us how many weeks it will take him. What is 21 divided by 3? What does n equal in this problem? You're right. N equals 7, because 3 times 7 equals 21. So 21 divided by 3 equals 7. It's going to take Trenton 7 weeks to read all of his astronomy books. Take a look at this last problem with me. There are 36 sharks at the zoo in 4 different tanks. If there are the same number of sharks in each tank, how many sharks are there per tank? Well, let's think here. One piece of information is that there are 36 sharks at the zoo. And the other piece of information is that they're in 4 different tanks. Obviously, we're trying to figure out how many sharks are there per tank or in each tank. What kind of equation, what kind of story problem is this? This one could be a little tricky, but I see you realized that the sharks are physical items and the tanks are containers. Since we know the total amount and we're putting the sharks into containers, this is clearly an equal-sized group division story problem. What equation would you use to solve this problem? I agree. We would use the equation 36 divided by 4 to find the answer to this problem. What is 36 divided by 4? What does n equal? I agree. 36 divided by 4 equals 9, because 9 times 4 equals 36. So, there are 9 sharks. There are 9 sharks per tank at the zoo. Thank you for solving these division story problems with me today, 3rd grade. Have a great day!